Hello, yeah, today the show will be a bit different. I will be talking about the Springboks of South Africa and how they carry the hopes, dreams, aspirations of an entire nation on their shoulders when they play on Sunday against England. My name is Olivia and thank you so much for watching. Normally on this channel, I talk about business, economics, and personal finances. But I just thought, from my heart and the hearts of the millions of South Africans who are watching the Rugby World Cup at the moment, to just say something about what is happening. Last week, France, the host nation of the World Rugby Cup for 2023, they lost with 1 point against the Springboks. While they were leading most of the game, they lost the match, which we can understand as South Africans. It's one of the painful things to see your team losing because sports, it's very personal. We put our heart and soul into it when we watch our teams playing. And no more so when it's on an international stage. And one of the most painful things is to lose in front of your home crowd. But this needs to be said about the match. It was epic. And in all honesty, I couldn't watch the live match. I had to watch afterwards the replay once I knew the outcome because my heart couldn't take it. My heart just couldn't take it. And the win of the Springboks, it was legendary. Because at some stage, it seemed clear. It seemed clear to those who were watching, and from the sounds I heard people were making around me, that it was in the bag for the French. But it wasn't meant to be. There was some, for me, the highlight of the game. It was Colby. The way that he stopped that conversion, it was something unbelievable. It was just something unbelievable. No one saw it coming. Even here in South Africa, we were asking, what just happened? How did this happen? But it did. That was a game changer for the entire match. But I have to commend again the French for the way they played. They played with heart. They played with passion. They played with everything they've got. But the Boks, in the end, were the ones who won the match because they managed to stay in the game up until the last minute. And they managed to make the right decisions when it mattered the most. And this is the thing about a game. Any match that you watch, it's easy for me to be an armchair critic and to say like they should have done this, you should have done that. But at the end of the day, when you are in the midst of things, in the heat of the moment, to keep a cool head and to still make a crucial decision, not knowing how it will pan out, that takes a special kind of person. And I just think the Springboks are that special kind of team. And look, nothing is a given. That is what I admire the most about the current Springbok team. As I observed the games, whatever game they played, whoever their opponent was, they didn't see anything as a given. They never they didn't enter any game with the mentality or the attitude at least that we are the better team. We have the one up. We are here to show you how it's done. No, the culture and the spirit of the Springboks is that they have consistently during this World Cup, they've shown respect for every opponent they played against. In the case of Tonga, watching that match, I could watch. When I was watching it was like they played with heart. They had the upper hand throughout the entire game. But they didn't stop playing until the final whistle blew. And the attitude after the match, that is what matters the most. Is how do you, when you are the winning team, how do you respond to the win? How do you respond to the victory? And how do you treat your opponents? And just the way the Springboks handle themselves, whether they win or lose, the attitude is the same. And when you compare and you watch it from, since 1995, when we were allowed to play, when we re-entered international rugby, because remember we were banned from playing international rugby due to apartheid. So 1995, after we've had our first democratic election, when they won the World Cup in 1995, up until now in 2000 and 2023, where we are at, to see how the Springboks have evolved, how their culture has become. Because this is for me another great thing. We don't have stars in the Springboks. We have a team. We don't have a player that's being, all the pressure is put on that one player to deliver. We have a team where everyone pulls together, work together, push together, because they understand. And this is the culture of the current Springbok, is the understanding that this is not about an individual, but this is about a team. This is about the country, and ultimately about the continent Africa. And this is now what is happening. We see the development of an entire team. We see the culture of support, the culture of building, the culture of growing, and the culture of winning. Rassie Erasmus, when he came onto the scene, I can't say that I'm a rugby fanatic. So there was a time things were really, really bad with the Springboks. We were just this was roughly in 2016 when things were bad. They were really, really bad. And it seems as if we will not be able to get back from that. And 3 years later, we lifted the World Cup. And now it's another 5 years later. It's in 2023. And we hope to do it again. And when Rassie Erasmus came onto the scene, he was saying that the first thing, there's not going to be any stars. There's not going to be individuals the responsibility of the entire team will rest on one person to change the game. He said, his words were that, maybe not his exact words, but it was, we are building a culture of support. We are building a culture as a team where every man understands his responsibility in relation to the team. And he achieved that. And when you looked at Ninaber, the coach, it's like seeing one person talking. What he did, because remember, the management of the team, together with the coach and the players, they are part of to form a winning combination. It's not just one element that makes a team to win. It's a combination of different factors, and also the game plan, the strategy to play a good game. And at the end of the day, the leadership with the coaching. If the players don't respect the coach, you can forget you won't have a winning team. But the respect there is when you watch and how the player interacts with the coach, there is respect. He managed to make his mark while teaching part of the game strategy together with Rassie Erasmus. So these are the combinations. And then also when you look at the captain, when Siya Kolisi became the captain in 2019, if memory serves me right, he was the first black captain of the national rugby team. There was a huge outcry. And you need to understand the history of South Africa to understand what that meant to the country. There were those who vigorously opposed it. And then there were those who stood behind him with everything they've had and who supported him in his decisions, in his position. And to see Siya growing from the captain who was chosen in 2019, to see the man he is today in 2023, it's something magical to witness. And this is another thing I wanted to commend him on, is the fact that after the game of France, there were many critics, of course. There were many opinions, the criticism, the weird questions from journalists. And let's face it, sometimes after a match, you get asked the most ridiculous questions. And when they were asking about the referee, what he said to me, that was epic. When Siya said, it's not about the referee. We are focusing on playing the game. We were focusing on playing France. So the game was the focus and the other team was the focus, not the referee. And to hear the captain saying that, because look, from our side, we were also, afterwards when I was watching, there were some decisions that we as South Africans, we did not agree with, that we thought it was not in our favor. But to hear the captain of the team said it was all about the game. It was all about the match and what was happening on the pitch. It's not about the referee. And that to me, it's gold to have in a leader. But for me, and not just for me, all of us in South Africa, we want to say to the Springboks, we are standing not even 100% behind you. It's more than 100%. And this is not just about a game to us. This is about our honor, our pride. It's about hope. It's about feeling good. And it's about showing us what is possible and what can be done. And when you play against England, know that the voices and the eyes and the hearts of millions of South Africans are behind you. And one more thing I just want to say before I end off. The game between New Zealand and Argentina, for this Rugby World Cup, there has not been major upsets. It has been a sort of predictable World Cup, except for the one last week with France, between France and South Africa, because France was definitely the favorites, of course, in the home country. So people were a bit torn. But now when I look at the game between New Zealand and Argentina, it's like Argentina doesn't even feature. And that might be the major upset of this World Cup. We are not taking it as a given that South Africa will win, but we are hoping, we are pushing, we want them to feel energized and knowing that we are vouching for them to win against England. But for me, as just a commentator and of course a biased South African, for me, I would like to see a final between South Africa and Argentina. And I know in South Africa, there are many South Africans who support New Zealand. I'm not one of them. I'm not. So it might be a surprise. It might be like the ending might be how everyone predicted, New Zealand and South Africa. And not to underestimate England. But of course, our hope, our desire, our wish, our dream is to lift that Webb Ellis Cup again so that it can come back to South Africa and come back to Africa. So like we say here in South Africa, go Bokke, go, make your mark, play with heart and bring back the cup. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. And I hope after Sunday, we will know the outcome, we will know the answers, and we will know who are in the final of the Rugby 2023 World Cup.